The gas station off Highway 101 had seen better days. Cracked asphalt, flickering neon signs, and the kind of restrooms you'd rather hold it than use. But it was the only stop for 50 miles, so everyone ended up there eventually: truckers, families on vacation, and sometimes, trouble. Amira pulled her Honda Accord next to Pump 3, the engine ticking as it cooled. She'd been driving for 6 hours straight, heading home to Los Angeles after visiting her sister in Sacramento. The hijab she wore was a soft blue, matching her scrubs underneath. Another double shift at Cedars-Sinai behind her, another one waiting when she got back. She stepped out, stretching muscles tight from the long drive, when she heard them. The rumble started low, like distant thunder, then grew until it shook the windows of the convenience store. 5 Harleys roared into the station, their riders looking like they'd stepped out of a nightmare. The leader was massive, 6'4", 300 pounds of muscle and menace, with Death's head tattooed across his knuckles. His crew flanked him like a pack of wolves: skinny guy with teardrop tattoos, a bald mountain with prison ink covering his scalp, and 2 others who looked like they ate broken glass for breakfast. They killed their engines in unison, and the sudden silence felt dangerous. Amira kept her head down, focusing on the gas pump. She'd learned long ago that invisibility was her best defense. But some predators are drawn to prey that tries to hide. Well, the leader's voice carried across the station like a threat. "Look what we got here, boys." The pack turned toward her with predatory focus. Amira's hand trembled slightly as she tried to work the pump, but she could feel their eyes on her like physical weight. "Hey, towelhead," the skinny one called out. "You lost?" Amira's jaw tightened, but she didn't respond. The gas seemed to flow slower than molasses. The leader swaggered over, his boots crunching on glass from a broken beer bottle. "My friend asked you a question. Where's your manners?" "Please," Amira said quietly, not looking up. "I just want to get gas and leave." "Oh, she speaks English." The bald one laughed. "Thought you might need a translator. You know, someone who speaks terrorist." The leader stepped closer, close enough that she could smell the beer and cigarettes on his breath. "This is America, sweetheart. We don't wear Halloween costumes here." "It's called a hijab," Amira said, finally looking up at them. "It's part of my faith." "Faith?" The leader's eyes narrowed. "Same faith that brought down the towers?" That's when the black Audi pulled up. It was sleek, expensive, and completely silent. The kind of car that whispered money and power. The engine died with barely a sound, and for a moment, everyone just stared at it. The driver's door opened, and out stepped a man who looked like he'd been carved from granite. Mid-50s, completely bald, wearing a simple black t-shirt and jeans that probably cost more than most people's rent. He moved with the fluid grace of a predator, every step deliberate and controlled. Jason Statham surveyed the scene with cold blue eyes that missed nothing. The 5 bikers surrounding a young woman. Her obvious distress. The way they'd positioned themselves to block her escape routes. He'd seen enough violence in his life to recognize the setup. "Afternoon," he said, his British accent cutting through the tension like a blade. The leader turned, sizing up this newcomer. He saw an older man, alone, well-dressed but not particularly big. "Easy prey. This doesn't concern you, Grandpa. Keep moving." Jason's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture. Subtle, like a switch being flipped. "Actually, I think it does." He walked toward them with the casual confidence of a man who'd never met a fight he couldn't finish. The bikers spread out instinctively, but Jason paid them no attention. His focus was entirely on Amira. "You all right, miss?" he asked, his voice gentler now. Amira nodded, though her hands were still shaking. I was just getting gas." "I can see that." Jason's eyes flicked to the pump, then back to the bikers. "Seems like a simple enough task. Don't know why these gentlemen felt the need to complicate it." The leader bristled. "Listen here, you British." "I'm listening," Jason interrupted, turning to face him fully. "Though I have to say, what I'm hearing isn't very impressive. 5 grown men harassing a woman at a gas station. Not exactly the stuff of legend, is it? The skinny one with the teardrop tattoos pulled a knife, flicking it open with practiced ease. Maybe you didn't hear him, old man. This ain't your business. Jason looked at the knife with the mild interest of someone examining a curious insect. Put that away before you hurt yourself. Or what? The skinny man grinned, showing teeth like broken tombstones. Jason's smile was colder than winter. Or I'll put it away for you. What happened next was over before most people could process it. Jason moved like liquid lightning, covering the distance between them in a heartbeat. His right hand struck the skinny man's wrist with surgical precision, and the knife went flying. His left hand grabbed the biker's throat, lifting him onto his toes. I said put it away, Jason repeated calmly, as if he was discussing the weather. The other 4 bikers rushed him at once, which was their first mistake. Jason released the skinny man, who crumpled to the ground gasping, and turned to face the charge. The bald mountain reached him first, swinging a haymaker that could have taken a normal man's head off. Jason ducked under it, drove his elbow into the man's solar plexus, then grabbed his arm and used his own momentum to send him face first into the concrete. The sound of impact was sickeningly final. The second biker tried to tackle him low, but Jason simply stepped aside and brought his knee up to meet the man's descending face. Cartilage crunched, blood sprayed, and another threat was eliminated. The third man had more sense, circling warily, looking for an opening. Jason didn't give him one. He feinted left, then exploded right, catching the biker with a perfectly timed uppercut that lifted him off his feet. He landed in a heap next to the gas pump, unconscious before he hit the ground. That left the leader. He was smart enough to be scared now, seeing 4 of his crew laid out in less than 30 seconds. But he was also proud enough to be angry, and pride had killed more men than bullets ever would. You think you're tough? He snarled, pulling a gun from his jacket. Let's see how tough you are with a... He never finished the sentence. Jason's hand snapped out like a striking snake, grabbing the gun and twisting it away in one fluid motion. The leader screamed as his finger broke, trapped in the trigger guard. Jason examined the weapon, a cheap .38 with scratched serial numbers, then ejected the cylinder, dumping the bullets onto the ground. He tossed the empty gun back to the leader, who caught it with his good hand. Terrible grip, Jason observed. Finger positioning's all wrong. You'd probably miss a barn from 10 feet. The leader stared at him, cradling his broken finger. Who the hell are you? Jason's smile returned, but there was no warmth in it. I'm someone who doesn't like bullies. He looked around at the carnage, 5 men in various states of unconsciousness and injuries scattered across the gas station like broken toys. Then he turned back to Amira, who was staring at him with wide eyes. Sorry about the mess, he said gently. Are you hurt? Amira shook her head, still processing what she'd just witnessed. How did you? Long story, Jason said. Short version is I used to do this for a living. Different circumstances, but the principle's the same: protect the innocent, stop the guilty. The leader was struggling to his feet, his pride warring with his survival instinct. Pride lost. This isn't over, he muttered, backing toward his bike. Jason's expression went arctic. Yes, it is. Something in his voice made the leader freeze. Jason stepped closer, speaking in a whisper that somehow carried more menace than any shout. You're going to get on your bike and ride away. All of you. And you're never going to bother this woman, or anyone like her, ever again. Because if I hear that you have... He paused, letting the implication hang in the air. Well, let's just say this was me being gentle. The leader's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. He looked at his crew, 2 unconscious, 1 groaning, 1 bleeding, then back at Jason. How will you even know? He asked, trying to salvage some dignity. Jason's smile was predatory. I'll know. Trust me on that. The cleanup took 20 minutes. The bikers who could walk helped carry the ones who couldn't. They loaded onto their bikes like broken men, the fight thoroughly beaten out of them. As they prepared to leave, the leader looked back one last time. "What's your name?" he called out. Jason considered the question. "Someone you don't want to meet again." The Harleys rumbled to life, but the sound was different now, defeated, diminished. They pulled out of the gas station and disappeared down the highway, leaving only tire tracks and bloodstains as evidence they'd ever been there. Amira finished pumping her gas with hands that were finally steady. She turned to thank her rescuer, but Jason was already walking back to his Audi. "Wait," she called out. "I don't even know your name." He paused at his car door. "Jason. I'm Amira. I'm a nurse at Cedars-Sinai." "Good profession," he said. "World needs more healers." "What you did?" She began, then stopped, unsure how to finish. "What I did was necessary," Jason said. "Those men were going to hurt you. Probably worse than hurt. I couldn't let that happen." "Why?" "You don't even know me." Jason's expression softened slightly. "I know enough. You're someone who helps people for a living. Someone who makes the world a little better just by being in it. That's worth protecting." He climbed into his Audi, the engine purring to life. As he prepared to leave, he rolled down the window. "Amira," he said. "Drive safe. And don't let anyone make you feel like you don't belong. This is your country too." The Audi pulled away, black paint gleaming in the afternoon sun. Amira watched until it disappeared around a bend, then looked down at the bloodstains on the concrete. In a few hours, they'd be scrubbed away, and it would be like nothing had happened. But something had happened. 5 men had learned that actions have consequences. A woman had learned that not everyone in the world wished her harm. And somewhere on Highway 101, a man who'd spent his life using violence for the wrong reasons had finally used it for the right one. 3 days later, a package arrived at Cedars-Sinai Hospital addressed to Nurse Amira Hassan. Inside was a small silver pendant, a guardian angel, and a note written in precise handwriting. "For someone who guards others' health. In case you ever need a reminder that you're not alone in this world. J." Amira wore it every day for the rest of her career. And though she never saw Jason Statham again, she never forgot the lesson he'd taught her, that sometimes, when the world seems darkest, a guardian angel appears in the most unexpected form. The 5 bikers never bothered another woman again. Some lessons, once learned, are never forgotten.